All right, class. So in this video, I'm just going to go over with you my process from this point moving forward. So I had all of you, or suggested that you fill in the general space first, right? So where the skin tones would go, the hair, the clothing, the base of the figure, and so forth. And then lock layers and try to keep them as organized as possible. And as you move forward, build up layers. I'd like to see at least 3 organized layers, um, 3 to 4. However you feel they should be organized, make sure you label them, make sure they make sense to you. This is something I'm going to be grading you on, and then I'm going to be looking at. So some of you might be at this point, some of you might be moving forward from this point and adding detail to clothing and shoes and so forth. I'm seeing a lot of nice work happening. I'm seeing a lot of you using your shape tool to add in certain things. Like, so for instance, my husband works for a company called Madison Spine, so I was thinking about putting a little name tag here, making it maybe white, and adding an outline around it. And then I could put his name on there, right? So remember, you can create and build shapes that way. I can also create and build shapes using my pen tool. So for instance, let's say I'm going to make a V-neck here. Maybe I'm going to use my guidelines to find the center point, maybe just to help me create this V-neck. So I'm going to create this shape, and maybe I'm going to make it the color of a skin tone and add a black outline so that it now looks like a V-neck, and then I can add the collar. I can add the collar using, remember, you have your line segment tool or your arc tool. So using my line segment tool or even my pen tool, I could do this too. I could add in lines, to create that collar. I could also then select those lines together, copy and paste them, and reflect them. Right, to fit that space, so I don't have to. Now I'll probably rotate a little bit more to fit that space. Obviously I would adjust it more accordingly, but you get my idea. Okay. And you can see now how this is kind of coming together. And I've seen a lot of you doing stuff like this, which is great. Remember, let's see, you can also, I don't know, use your arc tool to create arced lines. So for instance, if I wanted to make a shoe here, even though this arc is not a perfect arc and it's becoming a little bit distorted and straighter the further I push it, I can use my direct selection tool to click on these 2 points, and then you'll have these little anchor bars that pop up. So I can place one anchor bar here and one anchor bar here. Not that you have to do this way, but I am doing it this way. And I could use my anchor bar and just pull up to create, you know, a cute little shoe. If that is what I want my shoe to look like, I can copy and paste it. I could color it in, I could fill it, right? And that's where his shoes would go. So remember that within this rectangular space, this would be your torso, your legs, your feet, and then this flap here, don't be confused by it. This would fold over and attach to this, to the back side, just like this would fold over and attach to the back side as well. So you might want to go in and make these blue as well to match the shirt, because these would technically be the shoulders and you probably would see them. So I might go in and use my shape tool and just fill in that space too, so that it reads as the shoulders of the man, right? So just remember that. So what I wanted to do also, and I'm seeing a lot of you do this, which is great, is just go over the facial features with you. Okay, so I know I started filling in the hair and I need to work on it a little bit more. People telling me that I look like he's going bald here. Your face. So you want to start by creating the center axis where you would split, that would split down the center of your face, right? And then from there you have your eyes, which are actually in the center of your head. So you would place that in the center of this area. Okay, and then you have your nose, which is in the center, is in between your eyes and your chin, which would be down here. And then your mouth, which would be in between the bottom of your nose and your chin. Okay, so you can place your eyes in the center points of this axis line. The bottom of your nose would be placed here, and your mouth would be here. I'm not going to go over with you specifics on how to draw certain things. Your nose could be very simple. I made this with the arc tool, just like a little C. You could look at it like a C, or you could add to that C. You could actually, I'm gonna lock that and do this here, add like little nostrils if we were to blow this up really quickly. I don't like this. I'd like to keep it the way I had it, very simple, but let's see. You can look at some of my examples that I have on our website, right? You just click on that. Ooh, what happened to it? And of course now it's gone. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so I could add to that C. I can copy and paste it. And I can rotate it, or reflect it, I should say. And then adjust accordingly to fit that area. I don't really like that, but you can see how you can kind of play around with the nose and what it looks like. Look at some of my examples, even the mouth and the eyes. Using the arc tool or your shape tool to create the eyes, right? Fill it with white. And think about layering, you know, so you can layer on top of, right? Maybe making this, make it actually more like green eyes. So we'll do something like that. And then I can continue to layer on top if I wanted to, make it as detailed as I would like. You can use your move tool to nudge things if you need to nudge. It's not cooperating with me. Let's probably adjust it a little bit better, right? That doesn't look centered, but you get my idea. So you can just see how I continue to add to this. Maybe this would be like a little reflection on the eye, right? So that would be like placement of objects. The eyebrows would go above the eyes. You can use your shape tool to create that. You could even, I'm not using my blob and paintbrush, but you can paint things on. You could blob it on, whatever, you know, you're comfortable with. What I also wanted to go over really quickly was the placement of the ears. Ears are funny, all right? They're kind of funny looking, funny to draw, and funny as far as where to place them. So your ears are actually between your eyes. If you were going to draw an imaginary horizontal line from your eyes to your ears, they would meet the top of your ears. If you were to draw an imaginary line from the bottom of your nose, it would match the bottom of your ears. So your ears are actually in between your eyes and the bottom of your nose. As far as the placement of that vertically, I would just place it a little bit, not halfway, but a little bit in more. So I would go halfway and then move it back in towards the face. And then I would say that's where your ears should go, okay, realistically. So you can see I kind of made the ear as a C. I used the arc tool for that. And I just copied and pasted it and placed it on. It can be as simple as something like that, or you could take that C, copy and paste it, shrink it down, maybe make it less of a point so it's a thinner line, and then even move that up and start adding detail to your ears, right? Because you have like your inner ear, your outer part of your ear. But I mean, you know, you could do something like this. You could look up cartoon ears, whoops, and see what that looks like. But that's really all you would need. You can keep it very simple or add detail, okay, depending on what you prefer. As far as the hairline, if you have bangs, I mean, obviously your bangs are going to come down, okay, to about where your eyebrows are, okay? So you want to kind of use up all this space. Look at this, like, top of your head and your forehead. My students were saying that looks like my person has, my period 8 students were saying that looks like my person has a receding hairline. So I'm going to go ahead and just move it down a little bit more. Whoops. So clicking on my selection, I could kind of move it down and adjust it. If you have a shorter haircut, you might want to have it kind of swoop down like a C and then come around. We all have sideburns, depending on big, small, whatever, but we all have some sort of sideburn that comes around our ears like you see here. So you can see I kind of created the shape around the ear, and using the pen tool actually. But I'm going to move this in a little bit, maybe have it look something like that. So I think that's actually a little bit better. This bouffant thing I got going on up here, I might need to work it a little bit more so it like comes down on the face a little bit more. Maybe it's bigger. So I'm going to work on that a little bit more so it looks like he's got a little bit more hair than I'm giving him. But you can kind of play around with this. The hair can go up and off of the block. It does not have to stay within that space. And if you have someone who has long hair, the hair can also, remember, go off the page. So it doesn't have to stay, you know, within that space. I mean, your person could also just not have ears. Like, they have ears, yes, but we all have ears. But maybe we're not seeing the ears because it's just, it's long hair that we're creating versus, you know, I could just delete the ears and maybe it's going to look something like that, right? So these are all things that you need to kind of play around with and have fun. So this is my basic lesson on facial features and measurements and so forth. If you wanted to go into more depth with this or add more detail, you can ask me individually and I will definitely help you, as this is one of my favorite things to do as an illustrator, is draw people and figures and faces. So I would be more than happy to help you really fine-tune and look at all of this stuff a little bit better. But remember, keep your layers organized and lock layers when necessary and so forth. All right, I hope this is informative.